Good morning. This session's almost over, but something happened on Thursday dealing with ARPA funds. Can somebody tell me what just happened?
Well, yeah, what just happened was we went to another special session. Many of you at home have heard the term special session before. What you probably don't know is this special session was called by the legislature and not by a governor. It hasn't happened in a very long time. In order to do so, you would have needed 2/3 signatures from both the House and the Senate in order for it to happen. And what was the reason? It was to bring the money back, the ARPA funds that the governor has had, bring that back into control of the legislature, give them more say about how that money would be spent. And this process will probably take a while. It's not something that's going to be done this weekend, next week. This is going to last out through the summer as special session continues to deal with these federal funds.
Okay, everybody's being nice, but this is kind of like an iceberg. What we're seeing on the top of the surface, there's a lot more under the surface. Can you tell us just what happened?
Well, here's what happened, and I don't know that there's a ton under the surface at this point. It's not the legislature controlling the ARPA money at this point. It's that we've created a constitutional framework so there can be transparency and checks and balances in how we divvy out the ARPA money, which we haven't given any out yet, except for when we passed it last Friday, where we funded some bipartisan agreed things like the nursing program, funded the rural broadband program. No, what this does is gives the legislature some control, but still keeps the governor with a lot of control. So we have an open process on how we're spending almost $2 billion of money to help the state of Oklahoma.
Okay, there's a whole lot under the surface, but that's another. All right, here we go. I'm just wondering, with what just happened, there's still a week to go. There's the budget. There's a week to go before the session sine dies. So the impact of what just happened this week on next week.
Yeah, well, here's the impact of what just happened. Some great things happened out of the legislature this week on the impact of moving that ARPA money. We were able to fully fund agreed to bipartisan deals. Rural broadband got several $100 million. We got a transformational nursing program where we're going to be graduating as much as 4,000 additional nurses. That was all agreed to. It was sent on to the governor. We fully anticipate he's going to sign both those bills. He has that opportunity to, and they've been agreements. That's what I think you're going to see. I think the impact is we're going to see an open and transparent process. The ARPA committee will continue to meet. There'll be citizen involvement. The governor will still have his hand in this. And I think we're going to start investing those dollars in Oklahoma.
Your opinion of what just happened on coming up?
Yeah, I think the real impact here is just seeing more of those federal dollars flow through into the state of Oklahoma. I think everyone that knows, you've heard us talk about it on this program, there was something like $10 billion that was asked for, requested for, out of this $2 billion that came to the state. There are all these projects that are out there, and there's some that you wouldn't be that surprised by. There are cities that have asked for some of this money in order to upgrade infrastructure, things that COVID caused problems for them. These are the kinds of projects that need to be spent on. I think that the impact is that now that the legislature has brought some of this back, you might start to see some of that money flowing quicker out to some of the projects. And that's important because every other state's already doing this, and we know that prices aren't getting any cheaper.
Okay, some of the things he was talking about, we're going to unpack here when we come back in the next segment. Stay tuned. You're going to really enjoy this because we're going to get 4 months of session in 30 seconds, all right? So, Mr. Leader, what happened over the last 4 months?
So big time wins. Huge wins in medical marijuana regulation. Best session I've been a part of with part of that. Huge wins in the DDSD waiting list. Very proud of what we were able to accomplish there. Huge wins for economic development, what we're doing, what we did trying to get Panasonic here and not spending all of the money we have available, getting rid of the car tax, sending money back. Huge misses. And I'm very disappointed. We should have gotten rid of the grocery sales tax. That was a priority of the House of Representatives. We couldn't get full agreement. I'm extremely disappointed that did not happen. Should have happened. The House wanted it. The House wanted it bad. Maybe it's something we look at in special. Who knows? But that was a huge miss. And I also think we should have had bigger tax cuts this year. But I am glad we have a rebate check going back to all Oklahoma citizens. But it was a miss not giving them back more of their money.
Okay, some stuff on some of these property tax protests, got that down the road. Your thoughts in 30 seconds about what happened in the last 4 months.
Look, as much as I'd like to believe that all of you at home pay attention to what happens at 23rd and Lincoln for 4 months, what I know is that you don't pay much attention to it. So I'll keep this simple. There's an old statement that says, keep it simple, stupid. The two things that should have been done this legislative session to deal with inflation in the state of Oklahoma, we've talked about inflation here, we've talked about across the country, was to have eliminated the grocery tax and to put a moratorium on the gas tax. Gas and groceries. It's as simple as it gets. If we really want to help Oklahomans, which I know you all at home, think about this every time you go to the grocery store, which for most families like mine is once a week, and every time you fill up your tank. Those are the two places that we could have made a huge impact for Oklahoma families, gas and groceries, and didn't get either one of them done.
By the way, he beat you to the I word this week. That's 2 shots. Okay, right there. All right. Looking forward, an election's coming. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, there was a lot of polling that came out this week. I think one of the eye-popping ones was in the open seat for the Senate race, had Congressman Markwayne Mullin at about 38% and had T.W. Shannon following that at about 16%. This is the one that most of you, again, watching TV this morning, have probably seen more commercials on than you'd like to say that you've seen. But we'll see how those numbers continue to go. There was some new polling out on the governor's race as well. It looks like he is far and away the leader in the Republican primary right now. It's going to be interesting as we move into June, and you're going to see a whole lot more commercials for those that are running for office in primaries. Make sure that you're registered to vote and make sure you get your mail-in ballot.
Yeah, with margin of error, that Mullen-T.W. Shannon race could almost be dead even, depending on that. But there's a whole lot in there.
Well, there's a whole lot in there. One of the things, you can write it down. My colleague and I agree, it was a miss we didn't get more tax cuts. We may agree for different reasons, but it was a miss. We should have. And I tell you what's going to happen in elections. People are going to want to know where you stood on things like getting rid of the grocery tax. I think people are going to ask, and people are going to have to go answer for where they were. You also look at the U.S. Senate race. We've been saying it on this show for a long time. That's a 2-horse race. It's Speaker T.W. Shannon versus Congressman Markwayne Mullin, probably going into a runoff, and you're going to see a lot more ads as that goes. But that's what it clearly appears to be, like we were saying. And you're right. The #1 issue in that race will continue to be, is, and will always be
the big
inflation.
The big eye. That's exactly what people are concerned about. Okay, thanks for watching Your Vote Counts. See this again at news9.com/yourvotecounts, and follow me on Twitter @MitchellTalks.